My gold digger boyfriend wants me to create a business for his daughter and put her in my will, so I ended the relationship and made sure he'd never see a cent. My boyfriend, Ben, began noticing things about things that I owned. I'm not hiding that I'm financially stable, but I don't spend much. He noticed I bought a few nice items and started telling harmless jokes. Then he said I was loaded and his daughter would be an awesome protege. I stayed quiet, to be honest, because I think he might have been offended, but there's no way in hell that I would allow entrance to what I've built to anyone other than my kids. Also, he said that I should treat his daughter as very special because I only had boys, and she's my chance to have a girl in the family, his words. Don't get me wrong, she's a good kid. I have never missed out on gifting her nice and thoughtful presents on her birthdays and the holidays, but his words created a sense of discomfort and disgust for me. It felt like reverse sexism, and I told him, she and I have a decent relationship, but there's no way that I will give her access to my money if that means treating her as my own. I know this sounds very wrong, but it's how I feel. She's not the kind of kid who's a bully or nasty or anything, but she's not my child, and every time he asks for things, I feel like he's trying to get me to take from my kids to give to her. It happened again when I gave her a short-term weekend job. The office cleaning lady wasn't available, so I hired his daughter for a Saturday cleaning. She did a good job, I paid her, and took her to the mall to get her some makeup that she wanted, and she came back next weekend. When he picked her up, he joked that she would start from the bottom and become a top executive like any other kid at their family business. I didn't say anything because she was there, but I approached him later and mentioned it to him. I tried to be gentle, but we needed to discuss expectations. His initial reaction wasn't what I expected. He said something about me potentially putting her in my will. I simply stayed quiet and told him I cared about his daughter, but it isn't fair to create any expectations. I've worked so hard to give my kids a better future, and it's taken me over 10 years, and the fact that he only sees the results without taking my past and my ordeal into consideration feels disrespectful. He stormed out of my car and started walking with his hand in his pocket and a weak smirk. I had to drive slowly next to him to convince him to get back inside the car because I hate Dr. David Banner scenes. He looked like a kicked puppy. After I dropped him off, he has been sending me texts about being disconnected from what a blended family is, showing that I think his daughter is inferior, being a hypocrite, and bullying. We talked about it, and he apologized, and I did the same in case I was too harsh. He said we could find some middle ground, and I was open to it. When he talked about helping him create a business for his daughter, I became angry because it would be sweat equity for me. I declined because I did all the sweating I had to, but it was for me, and what he's asking just isn't fair. I'm also concerned that he will ramp up and keep asking and asking for things. He said that if I don't help, he will feel like we will never build anything together. I said he needed to hire a consultant, but he stayed quiet, so I told him that he shouldn't place the responsibility of his present situation on me. He said that my success probably blinds me, but that one day, I'll wake up single and lonely. I asked if he threatened to leave me, and he said I'm not acting like a helpful partner. I asked for a break, and he freaked out. I'm just trying to keep my mental health in check because his constant asking and jokes have made me anxious. Also, I'm very angry and think he just wants a handout. Update: I asked to meet at a small restaurant, public place strategy, to avoid drama. I tried to be respectful but wanted to bring up my uneasiness and feelings about his behavior. He tried to brush it off initially but evaded the subject when I insisted. I told him what he already knows: my children are my priority as a sole provider, and I want to cover their needs. I asked, what would he do with my kids, or what's his plan for his own kid? I know he doesn't have much, but that's no excuse. When I established the comparison between what he wanted for his kid versus what he would give to mine, his face changed, like I was greedy and he was insulted. He said my kids don't have a dad and that he can provide a paternal figure. This triggered me so much that I had to try to keep my volume in check. I think being there like a piece of furniture in exchange for financial benefits for his own kid is acceptable to him. I would have loved for my kids to have a decent dad, but that's just not in the cards, and right now, I'm better off alone than with Ben. I was so angry that he kept asking me to calm down. He said he's leaving his daughter with good knowledge on life in general because there are only things he can offer since her mom is too secular, whatever that means, and I didn't ask him. I said that we needed to break up. I offered to have a last call/text with her if he agreed, but his answer was no. Fuck you. You don't get to say anything to her. He said I'm caught up in my new mainstream life. He told me to suck on my colleague's D but immediately apologized. I told him I'm not surprised at his behavior, since it shows me that he seems to think intimacy can solve anything. I also said that since he was being gross and vulgar, I'm learning just now that men like him are unfuckable, homosexual, handout seekers and insincere, and that I will never date someone who is not financially stable, ever again, because this is a huge lesson.